Hi everyone, Tatiana Kolovu here with the Stronger newsletter in video version. This month we talk about communicating with the bully. So I want to tell you a story about Andrea, who started in a new marketing position and had great enthusiasm. And Andrea went to work early. She was ready to move mountains, but it didn't take too long before Andrea realized that something was wrong. And the person that Andrea was teamed up with was not what Andrea had imagined. Andrea's contributions to projects were quickly met with negative reactions. Here's some of the language. That's not what we do it, how we do it here. Or you're too new to know about this. Quite often bullies get met with early on in their jobs. Her team member would speak kindly to others, but when it came to Andrea, they would give them the cold shoulder when they were alone, especially. That's a little bit of bully behavior, that passive aggressiveness. So this perplexed Andrea, but even the optimist that she was, she attributed to saying, maybe I need to get some thicker skin, or maybe I need to figure things out. This is because I'm new. But before it was too long, Andrea realized that she really had to toughen up, or she really couldn't be tough enough, and she started to doubt her abilities. She tried to adapt and nothing changed, and the negativity that she faced from the bully, the coworker. So finally, she reached the end of her rope, and she directly asked herself, or asked the bully, look, I'm doing my best here, and it doesn't seem to be enough. Can you help me understand what the problem is? I don't know if you agree that this was the right approach, but at least Andrea did something about this. If you were Andrea at some point in your life, or you've had a similar situation, you're not alone. Andreas and stories like Andrea occur every day in the workplace and often result with a bullied person leaving their job. 1 in 5 persons in the workplace are bullied. I also want to say that in this video, I approach this from a workplace standpoint. I've had 2 children go through school systems where there were quite often a lot of belligerent bullies that were not parented in a way at home, or maybe behaved differently at school than they did at home, and parents were not aware. And we had to do a lot of work in helping our kids get through it. But in this video, in this workshop, in my knowledge and expertise in communication and my background in human resources, I will talk about bullying in the workplace setting. So in this edition of Stronger, the newsletter and video, I'm going to share tips that help you effectively deal with being targeted by the bully. And if things ever reach a point where you can't handle them, you could go to a supervisor, or you could go to a human resources representative, but you will find that there's a lot of strategies to address before that. I also recommend, as you're hearing this, that possibly you think of a new situation. I would not apply some of this to an older situation that has been going on for a long time, because for you, there's a lot of emotion involved there, and it may not be as easy for you to put some of these strategies into action. I'm not saying you shouldn't try them, but I'm saying that you probably should be more alert in a new situation. So there's a book out there by Gary Namey, and he defines bullying as the repeated malicious verbal mistreatment of a person or a target by the harassing bully. And mind you, the author contends that a bully's desire to control the target, that's why they're bullying. So bullying is not illegal harassment. This is important for you talking to your human resources department. It's not illegal to act like a jerk, but if there's physical violence involved, that is what's illegal versus rudeness. And this is where this gets a lot trickier. So it's targeted, it's persistent, it's focused sometimes on a vulnerable person or a new person where the bully wants to exert their control. So understanding and anti-bullying involves focusing on the need to control. And today, I will tell you that once you say, time out, this is not going to work here, you probably have a much better chance of stopping the bully in their tracks. Workplace bullies often have a position of power, of authority, of tenure, of expertise. They've been there for a while and they're marking their territory, or they may want some of that power and expertise, and they want to be treated with that. They could also be a position of equal status. And I was just talking to Selena Razvani in a live, and she said it's usually more peer-to-peer that bullying happens. Women and men are equally bullied by bullies, but recently findings show that women are most often bullied more by men and women. So if you're a female watching this or hearing this, know that you're definitely in the higher majority of people that are bullied, and there's no laughing mark about the term mean girls. There's even a movie about it because it mirrors that statistics. About 2/3 of women who bully are targeting women. So when dealing with bullies, the best defense is a strategic offense. So some strategies initially is to have boundaries, establish boundaries before you interact with others, the bully or not. Know what's not okay. Know what questions are not okay for you to be asked. Know what comments are not okay for people to make those. And when the bully tries to push some of those boundaries, you won't be caught off guard. So this is a little bit of the work you have to do beforehand. For example, if your boss tells you to pick up their dry cleaning before you come back to the next meeting, or if you find your boss rummaging through your files without asking, you need to confront them and you need to ask them to stop diplomatically, but ask them to stop. The second strategic move you should make is don't buy into unrealistic standards. This is a little bit of what is going on in your mind, just like Andrea's in the story. The workplace bully has impossible standards, and you may feel like you're failing them, but you need to recognize the cases that they may be unrealistic. So it's realistic for you to never depend on assistance from colleagues. That's unrealistic, right? They may be saying you shouldn't. Isn't it okay or normal to have all the answers about company procedures? Or it's realistic to expect that others will never make a mistake and be 100% of the time spot on. Those are all unrealistic expectations and standards, and bullies use them to help and make you feel bad. So don't buy into that. Bullies want you to feel defeated, and they want to come across as the competent, strong one. So you've got to start to recognize all that as part of your strategy. Finally, don't blame yourself. Resist the self-blame game. And this is a hard thing to do when you're new in a position. You admit that you don't know, but you are definitely on the defense. So bullies really latch onto targets who are kind, who are empathetic, and they are the ones that they go after. If you tend to doubt or blame yourself first before others, stop. I need you to stop and not do that. So you should probably ask yourself, what could I have done to prevent this situation? Or should I have been on guard a lot more and earlier? And should I have some burbles to be ready to go? So consider that if there are any systems in place where this doesn't happen again. So if you foresee or see this coming, you definitely need to prevent it. So as part, finally, of your strategic prevention, you also want to be prepared to face the bully. This is the tough stuff, but we're going to talk about this next. So before you do, get advice from people who are your colleagues, who are going to be supporting you, who may be even role-playing with you. And you can ask them, have you noticed this person acting in this way? Is there a pattern of this person in acting in this way? Do they recognize any flaws on your part? Are you doing something that's provoking this? Or even has this happened before? If you must go 2 levels above. And this is, again, where not every one of these situations need to be addressed, but in some cases, you may not go to your boss. You may go to a boss's boss if that is appropriate. But when you do that, you are making sure that if the bully has formed an alliance with the boss, I've been in this situation. I worked in an office place where the bully really had the boss kind of blinded in thinking that this person was the top best in everything they did. And this person was really manipulating the situation. So be strategic, get advice first, and decide who you're going to communicate. Now, when you are at the point where you need to communicate, prepare both mentally and physically. And I'm talking about you saying stop to the bully. It could be very stressful. So the more you've practiced or the more you've scripted with a colleague or a friend, the better off you're going to be. When you communicate and say, this is not okay, and I'll give you the strategy to do this, you can't have done it for the first time. Be sure that you address them at a time that is best and is ideal maybe for you mentally and physically, and when you feel confident and strong. And if you decide to speak to them in person, consider a neutral place or Make sure that you've role played this with a colleague beforehand. Remain calm. Try to not use hedge words such as sort of, kind of, seem to. You want to be very, very direct with your speaking and very confident. The second strategy when you communicate some of this is to establish a powerful stand. So you don't want to stand like this, the superpower stand, but you want to stand up, or if you're communicating, don't get too comfortable and sit down. You don't want to have a whole conversation with a bully. You want to position yourself so there's a barrier, maybe a desk between you, or maybe a conference table. Meet in your office or meet in a neutral space, but don't go into the bully's place or office in order to have this conversation. Maintain good, strong eye contact, and even when the bully is staring you down, because they will be surprised that you are bringing this up. Finally, speak with conviction. Again, no hemming and hawing, no questions. Have this practiced. Think about timing and when you're going to meet them. Don't give the, I'm going to drop by your office to tell you this. Keep the meeting short by establishing both the time that you're willing to devote to the meeting and topics of discussion. So you may want to send an email before that. Finally, I use the Center for Creative Leadership Situation Behavior Impact Formula, and this applies really well. This is a formula for giving people feedback, but in a way, telling a bully to cut it out is giving them feedback. So you want to refer to the exact situation or the context. You want to describe the precise behavior without categorizing or identifying a characteristic. You don't want to say to the bully that they were belligerent or they were arrogant or they were too aggressive. Stay away from any of these characterizations, but identify specific details of their behaviors, like the tone of their voice or there are the choices of words that they used or the aggressive hand gestures that they were using. So be very specific. And finally, close by talking about impact. What is the impact that this has in the situation, the organization, the work that you do? Try to say, we're in this together. I am making an effort to accomplish this. I'm going to show you, for example, here. Now we're talking about the pick up my dry cleaning on your way back. So you're describing the situation. The other day when you were leaving the office, you're describing the behavior. You asked me to pick up your dry cleaning. Now you talk about impact. This personal task during work hours interferes with my workflow, and it really impacts my productivity. You hired me to help you with X, and you have to describe what your special powers are in this new job. This is something a personal assistant can handle. Now, if you're a personal assistant, we've all watched the movie. I'm thinking about this. I'm blanking on it. It's in the fashion industry, and it was a really, really popular movie that came out. It's Anne Hathaway is working for a fashion magazine editor, and she is truly bullied. She's hired as a personal assistant and gets pretty sticky with this, but she ends up standing up for herself as well. So as you're thinking about all this and you are practicing some of this, recognize that this definitely is a problem, that a lot of people are impacted by this, and you need to practice some of your verbiage to help you on your tracks, to help stop them on their tracks. At the first comment, when we publish this, we're going to publish the recording of a LinkedIn Live that I had with my good friend and very, very leadership and competent leader and speaker. She's a LinkedIn top voice. She's a LinkedIn instructor. She's written the book Quick Confidence, and she talks a lot about this verbiage that communicates and helps you understand how to approach the bully. Her name is Selena Rezvani, and she came into the live and we processed through a lot of this, where between this newsletter that you're watching and the link that you watch next, if you don't follow me yet on LinkedIn, please do. Please follow the Stronger newsletter. We'll throw the link to this as well. But I do hope that this gives you some armor. This gives you some tasks and some specific focused strategies to address your bully. You do not deserve that. You really need to make it stop. And I hope that you find the strength and be stronger in approaching the bully next. So thank you for listening. And please let us know in the comments if we can answer any questions. Take care.